Hello.
The camera on?
Yeah, that would be great if you can.
Yeah, let me see. There it is. Okay.
Great. Hello. How
So
are you?
yesterday when I tried to initially connect, I was inside the building and for some reason it would not let me pull it up um on my laptop. So I was like, okay, so
Here.
what I'll try to do now then, because whenever I did connect with you guys, I was just trying to connect to let y'all know what was going on, why I had a room full of kids.
No, I
But
really appreciate it.
I I had to connect to my phone. It's like, okay, I know to hook up to my phone. That's why I came out to my car. I was like, it's gonna be quiet out here because I have a para too. So sometimes she's in the room with me and she's talking and stuff. So like, I'll go out to my car. There's nobody else out there and it's nice and quiet.
Perfect. Well, I really appreciate you rescheduling and making this work.
I appreciate
Um,
y'all doing that because it was like I felt so bad because I was like,
oh,
oh my gosh, because I know y'all plan the data for a certain number of people in each demographic and everything. I was like, I feel so bad because I just messed up their demographic.
oh no, don't worry about it. But I really appreciate it, and I know you're really busy. So I want to make sure we have enough time in the next 30 minutes just to talk about work-based apps.
Okay.
So, first, I just want to learn a little bit more about kind of like why you go to apps to earn money or what really motivates you to use apps.
Okay, so I am a teacher. I teach kindergarten through third grade special education, but my hours are from 6:30 to 2:30. So because I work at it's a pre-K through 12 school, so I get out of work pretty early. So that leaves a lot of time in the evenings. Well, my son is also he's a senior this year.
Oh,
And
exciting.
so it's like, but that comes with all the extra expenses. And it's like
Right.
everything seems to be going up rather than other than your income. So you
Yep.
have to find ways to supplement your income in ways that fits your schedule. And so I wasn't very sure about using them at first. And one of my coworkers actually, she was like, "Hey, you need to sign up for Spark." She's like, "Spark is perfect." She's like, "You get to pick which deliveries you want to make." Um, so I did, and it's been pretty good. And then my cousin does Uber. Well, I don't want to drive people around. But Uber Eats is a different experience because you can just bring, and I'm very anal and I'm not going to let anything touch their food, all of that stuff. So that works for me too. So it's like I can do that kind of stuff and that's not a whole lot of I hate to say effort, but it's really not a whole lot of effort. It's just having availability.
Great.
And so
Yeah.
it allows me to, make a little bit of extra that helps buy, like senior rings and senior invitations and senior tassels.
Definitely. So would you say, I guess, you felt comfortable using these apps because your friends, your colleagues, and family members
Right. They were
recommended them
referred
to
to
you?
me.
Yep.
Right.
Would you do any, I guess, like online research? Like when they first told you about these apps, did you like look up
Yes.
reviews or do anything specifically?
Yes, I did look up the reviews. And even when I signed up and I went to the sites, I looked more into the information that were available on the sites.
Hmm.
The review was the main reason I even investigated them. But then I did look at some of the other ones that there were available, and even some of our local restaurants do deliveries through a different one, and I can't remember what it's called, but I was just like, "Yeah, I'm not so sure about that." And so, those were the 2 that based on the recommendations from others and then the reviews and then the things I read online about them just appealed the most to me.
Yeah. I guess what would you see that would really turn you off or be afraid of like it's a scam? Like, is there any like terminology or I know probably bad reviews, but anything else that would really make you like weary of downloading an app?
Well, and just not enough not enough not really evidence, but not enough information about it. Not with these you can kind of see the clear expectations. Okay, this is what you're going to have to do. These
Mhm.
are the trainings you're going to have to complete. So those trainings are not fun. And if you didn't know that you were going to have to do them, and you were like, "Okay, I'm gonna sign up real quick and go make some quick cash," and you didn't know that there was all this legwork involved,
Yep.
that would probably put you in a little bit of a predicament.
Definitely. Almost like if it changed or felt like, yeah, now you actually have to do all this, it, like, wasn't upfront and transparent
Right,
how
right.
how was expected.
Transparency, that's the best word, yes.
Yeah, great. Um, awesome. I guess I know we've spoken a little bit about Spark and Uber Eats, but I was hoping maybe you could talk about, like, one of the apps that you use and why you had such a great experience with it, or what specifically has made it such a good experience.
Like one of those 2 or
Or a different one, whatever you feel more compelled to talk about.
I mean, as far as delivery, those are the ones that I use for work. Um, I've investigated some of the other ones. I really didn't care for them. With Spark especially, there is the chance for there's bonuses that you do this many deliveries in this many days and you get this much of a bonus.
Mm.
And so I like that incentive to get out there and be like, hey, I can do more deliveries and make a little bit more. And that's something that really appeals to me.
Ooh, that's really interesting. Do they tell you that up front? Is it, like,
Mhm.
always, or are there, like,
No, it's
promotional
like
periods?
it'll be um it'll be a promotion that they have. Okay, so from this time to this time, if you do this, you get these incentives.
Awesome.
And it's a financial incentive, so that always makes it awesome.
Yes,
And it
definitely.
could only be like 25 or $50, but that's still 25 or $50.
Yeah, definitely extra to motivate. What would you say, I guess, are some poor experiences you've had with some of these apps? If it was, like, maybe bad customer service or disputes you had to put in, or they didn't pay you on time, or any, like, issues you've had?
One of the thing is just the waiting, and, so these customers are expecting their things at certain times.
Mhm.
And so you get to the place where you're supposed to pick them up, and it's not always ready. So a lot of the time that falls back on the driver. The people are like, "Oh, well, they didn't get my stuff to me in a timely manner," but it's because and, sometimes they do front door drop off. It's like, they don't even know they get the app notification that, "Hey, your thing's here."
Yeah. So I guess, do you feel like communicating with the customers can sometimes be an issue because they're angry, but it's not your fault, and, like,
Right, right.
yeah.
And I've never had anybody really get angry, and maybe they just feel bad because 'cause I'm this old lady.
Yeah,
But they don't really get too angry, but I know that I mean, like, even as a consumer myself, that's something that would frustrate me if I was expecting it at a certain time and, it didn't come at that time.
definitely. Have you ever had issues, I guess, like, communicating with Uber Eats with something, or feeling like the app wasn't working well, or you couldn't, like, do what you needed to do with Uber Eats, or Spark
Well,
specifically?
it just feels like they all have their quirks and they all have their little moments, but I think that they usually get resolved pretty quickly.
Okay. Quick resolution, yep.
Yeah, and so that quick resolution keeps you wanting to do it.
Yep.
If it was something that like an issue with being paid or an issue, with things like that, and it didn't get resolved quickly, it would not be something you would want to work with.
Yeah.
Or if, like if it was an issue with a customer, if it wasn't, addressed with you, like if they just like if a customer said, "Oh, they didn't bring such and such and such and such," and you weren't asked about that,
Mhm.
and they just like, "Okay, well, you're not getting paid for this one because half their stuff," things like that.
Yep, definitely. It's, like, almost like you wanna make sure you're part of that feedback before they make any decisions, or you have your input to tell
Right,
you
against
your
you,
story
yeah.
side of it. Yep, completely. Um, great. I know we've talked about now some of the issues, but any other, I guess, general concerns you have with, like, not trusting an app to work through it? Like, what any, like, red flags, or just general, like, security, privacy concerns, or just
Oh,
anything that you
yeah,
might
I
be
feel
concerned.
I feel very uncomfortable, putting my Social Security number out on an app rather than
Yep,
submitting the application because you never know if somebody's computer is gonna have a virus, if your phone has a virus, and you're sitting here filling this out, and it's got your, like, for real personal information because you only have one Social Security number that you can
yep,
protect. So that's always I've always been a little wary of that. and even then too with your driver's license information. And I think
Yep.
one of my biggest issues that I have with the apps is, did you know you have to have a whole separate car insurance too?
Oh, wow, I did not know that.
Yeah, there's a different plan that you have to add to your car insurance because if you're in the middle of doing a delivery and you were to get in a wreck, your car insurance doesn't cover that
Interesting.
because you're working for another company in your vehicle. So you have to add a whole separate policy for that. So that's
Yeah.
interesting too, and that's something that people need to be pretty. I know I've had some other coworkers that do deliveries and they didn't know that. And one of them actually got into a wreck
Wow.
and like it messed the whole front bumper up on her car and her insurance wouldn't pay for her to get it fixed because she was on, the timer.
Right. I guess, did the apps tell you that you might need to look into more insurance, or
No,
kinda how did you know that?
no.
No.
Yeah, I learned that from word of mouth.
Yeah, got it. I guess, like, what would make you, let's say you're signing up for a new app that you're gonna
Okay.
work with, and you're starting to put in your information. What would you kind of expect? I know we talked about Social Security number, not being comfortable with that, but what other type of information are you, like, expected to put in, would you say?
I wouldn't even expect to put in my name, my birthday, I would expect if you're, like not just the initial sign up, but as you're getting closer to the higher process, the social security number. But your name, your address, um, your type of vehicle, of course. Um, and I would even expect your driver's license information to be part of that because they have to make sure if they're going to hire somebody to do driving their materials or their people, they want to make sure that they have a license.
Right.
Um, Maybe even the car information, and the insurance information because, like, yes, you do need that separate information. I think that at that point, they would need to say, "Okay, make sure you have after you're hired, you need to add a policy that will cover these too."
Yeah. How would you feel about if they asked you some questions about work history and, like, not a
Oh, yeah,
full
that would
work
be
history, but
fine because they need to know that you're gonna be dependable.
right, yep. And how comfortable would you be going through a background check if they wanted you to go through that?
I'm fine with that too because, I mean, like, they need to know that the person's not gonna start working for them and then start stealing the things they're supposed to be delivering,
Right.
things like that.
What else, I guess, okay, so you put in your account, now you've got your whole profile kinda set up. What, like, information would you be looking for, like, from the app? Like, would you like to just kind of scroll around and figure it out for yourself? Would you want, like, a guided tour? Would you
I
want, like,
think a tutorial at first,
mhm,
and it's like, okay, it leads you through it and like, okay, click this one next and then click next, a little guided tutorial that shows you the different sections of the app.
mhm,
And even, and I do think the clickable would be nice because it would actually show you where the section was rather than just kind of telling you.
yep. How so what about, I guess, like, FAQ or talking to customer support or, like, more tutorial videos as well? Is there anything there that, like, you really prefer to kind of peruse and get that information?
Yeah, the tutorial videos would be very helpful. The frequently asked questions, usually when I get to that point that I'm asking one of those, it would be nice to have some online chat support.
Mhm. Yeah, great. And I guess any other information, like, you would want them to tell you to really build up that trust initially with the app? Like, I know payments is obviously a piece of it, but, any other, like,
Just
information.
even requirements, like, do you require your workers to do like so much
Mhm.
at a time? Like, you require them to do so many deliveries, you require them to do so many trips,
Yep,
things like that that will keep them from wondering, hey, what are the expectations that you have for me as your employee? Because you may be considered contract, but you're still their employee.
yep. How how long would you expect the setup process to be? Like, okay, I filled in all my information. Now I'm like looking at potential job opportunities. Like, how long would you expect that to take?
Um, like hopefully the initial setup would only take maybe an hour to
Okay.
initially sign up. and enter in your basic information, then I would expect the tutorial to take no longer than that, in the few hours range if needed, because
Yeah.
that's going to be kind of like at your own kind of pace and when you're ready. And then,
Yeah.
perusing the jobs and stuff, that just depends on what you're looking for, as the person, like what kind of job, like what kind of deliveries are you looking for, or pickups are you looking for, um, and
Yeah.
the available options that they have for that.
Great. And I guess how quickly would you expect to like receive your first payment from a
I
job?
would think kind of depends. I think 2 weeks is realistic,
Yep.
on a website kind of based thing, but I think every 2 weeks payment would be probably the most appropriate.
Okay. Yep.
I know some of these apps say that they pay immediately after the jobs, but I mean, like, realistically, 2 weeks.
Got it. Yep. Um, Great. I'm just looking, just double checking my questions here. I guess if you were to do training, so I know you mentioned that you had some training videos. How comfortable would you be going to like an in-person training?
Oh, yeah, I'd be fine with that too.
Great. And would you expect to be paid for an in-person training or just trainings in general?
No, because I mean, like, at a regular job, you don't get paid for your training. Any kind of orientation type thing, you don't really get paid for it. So, I
Yeah.
mean, like, it's just the same thing
Yeah. And I
because
guess yep, sorry,
because
go
with
ahead.
with delivery and driving, you're getting paid for the service that you're doing, and it is kind of like a contract opportunity. So if you're not delivering, they're not getting paid either. So that's just kind of way I see it.
Yeah, no, I think that makes sense. I guess if you were, let's go back to like you signed up to a new app and you put in your profile and now you're there's some requirements for like a interview process. How
Okay.
comfortable would you be to like I guess answer some questions over the phone, or would you feel comfortable uploading a video answering some just basic interview questions, or have you seen that before?
Um, I know that they'll generally just ask some questions, but I haven't really had to do a video or, anything like that. But I mean, like, I wouldn't be opposed to it because I think it helps them get to know the person that's delivering. And they're like, okay, now they have a face with it. So if something happens and a different person shows up and they're like, okay, we're having an issue. I mean, that just helps put a little bit more security on who they are actually hiring to do this.
Yep. Yep, completely agree. Okay, great. Yeah, it really seems like, it's the balance of not having to ask for too much information, but also enough to feel like it's a legitimate, company and really taking a good care of who's coming in and working for them.
Right.
Great. I guess anything else you would say that would help you trust an app, or anything you really want to see from the app that you would instantly kind of be excited to work for it. Just for more context, we are trying to kind of build out some new features in our platform to just make users like you more comfortable, and anything to kind of just make it a better experience.
I do think the transparency is the number one thing. I think the open communication is important.
Yep.
And even if you're just talking to another person that's contract like you, they may be able to give you some insight.
Yeah.
And so, like some way to interact with maybe with the other people that live in your area that do the same thing.
Yeah. That would be great.
Uh, and then, yeah. And selfishly, I do have to say the bonuses are a good idea because that does keep people like wanting to participate more,
Yep.
and do more. They strive to get more deliveries. Now, if people don't order more, they really can't get more deliveries, but it makes the people that you have actually want to go out and do the jobs.
Yeah, definitely. Actually, that brings up a great point. So I know you mentioned your schedule. You typically look for evening options, and
Right.
afternoon. So how do you prefer to get like communicate with the app? Is it just kind of going in and looking for opportunities? Is it push notifications,
Yeah,
texts?
I would like an app that kind of would like send me if there's like a whole lot of deliveries in my area available. I don't know if the notifications do that on these because I have those notifications turned off for the majority of the day.
Right.
Um, but and it's like I do like it whenever I have availability on weekends, during the holidays, things like that, to kind of know what's going on around me. So it would be nice to know what availability there was without actually logging in. So I
Yep.
guess that's what notifications would do.
Well, maybe it's like a timed notifications, like you're on silent
Right.
period, but then certain periods of time send me the notifications.
Right. Like during your work schedule, it'll be like, okay, yeah.
Yeah. And I guess how important is it to like see that the app has like a Facebook page that you could reach out to, or I know you mentioned like a
Oh,
chat.
I do like that. I do like the Facebook page idea too, because I'm not even gonna lie. When I have issues with my bank, I'll get answers from the chat person on the Facebook page before I get answers like whenever I go to their chat on their website.
Yeah, interesting. Good to know. Great. And I guess like customer service, how important would you say that is overall? I know with like Uber, sometimes it's very difficult to really end up talking to someone or
Right.
but I guess so how important just overall is customer service experience for you when working with
It
these
it
apps?
just is. It is important because you want to know that you're being heard and that communication is there.
Yeah.
And so, whenever you don't have that communication, you don't. Some of it's just even being appreciated.
Hmm.
Like it's like okay, so they don't appreciate me doing my service enough to even have an open communication policy with us.
Yeah. Exactly. It's almost like feeling the respect of like from your
Right.
employer to be able to contact them. Yep,
Right.
definitely. Um, great. Yeah, you answered all my questions really thoroughly. I really appreciate the time. Anything else I guess you want to say or have ideas about or any kind of feedback overall?
That's pretty much it. This has been so fun though.
Yeah, I
Like you
really
made it
appreciate.
fun.
Okay, good. I'm glad. Well, amazing. Well, thank you again. We'll be in contact. You'll be emailed a $20 Amazon gift card within the next week. So just be on the
Okay.
lookout through email. Actually, that reminds me, one last question. I know you mentioned you have push notifications usually off. So do you prefer also maybe email communication or text communication, or no, you really prefer just
Text communication would be good too.
okay, good to know. Yeah. Okay, great. Well, like I said, yeah, be on the lookout for that gift card coming through your email. But again, I really appreciate the time and I hope you have a great rest of your day.
Thank you. You as well.
Great. All right. Bye.
Bye.